Have you ever seen a photo so wild it made you question if it's even real? Get ready, because these historical pictures are on a whole new level. From jaw-dropping mysteries to moments that seem too crazy to be true, these images will seriously leave you speechless. Some are heartwarming, others are downright chilling, but all of them will blow your mind. Stay tuned, because what you're about to see will really shock you to the core. Number 15, Daredevils in the Sky Building the Eiffel Tower, 1888. Imagine balancing on a thin metal beam hundreds of feet above Paris with nothing but your balance keeping you from falling. No safety harnesses, no protective nets, just you, the beam, and the very long drop below. That was daily life for the workers constructing the Eiffel Tower back in 1888. The photograph shows these fearless men perched high above the Parisian landscape, casually working as if they weren't dangling at heights that would make most of us freeze in terror. What's crazier is how relaxed they look. These guys are just hanging out, sometimes literally, while putting together what would become one of the world's most famous landmarks. They are walking along narrow beams, hammering metal joints, and even taking breaks sitting on small platforms with their legs dangling over the edge. The safety standards? Basically non-existent. No hard hats, no safety lines, no protection whatsoever. These workers relied entirely on their balance, strength, and concentration to stay alive. One wrong step or moment of dizziness could mean death. When the tower was completed in 1889, it stood as the tallest man-made structure in the world at 1,063 feet. Today we admire its elegant design, but this photo reminds us of the human cost behind it, the unnamed workers who risked everything to create an icon that would last for generations. Number 14, the Golden Gate Bridge opening, 1937. May 27, 1937. San Francisco is buzzing with excitement. After years of construction, the magnificent Golden Gate Bridge is finally open to the public. The photograph from that day captures something absolutely incredible, the bridge completely packed with pedestrians from one end to the other. This wasn't just a few curious folks taking a stroll. The image shows an estimated 2,617 people visible in just that single frame of the photo, and that's only a fraction of the total crowd. Engineers watched nervously as the bridge visibly sank under all that weight. Would their massive creation hold up? What makes this photo so powerful is the timing. This was 1937, right in the middle of the Great Depression. For Americans suffering through those tough economic times, this wasn't just a bridge opening, it was a symbol of hope and progress when the country desperately needed it. Look at the faces in the crowd, men in suits and fedoras, women in dresses and coats, all coming together to celebrate this achievement. By crossing the bridge that day, these ordinary people were becoming part of history, connecting San Francisco to Marin County in a way that had never been possible before. The bridge didn't just span the Golden Gate Strait, it represented American resilience during one of the nation's darkest periods. This photo captures that perfect moment when engineering brilliance and human spirit came together in an unforgettable way. Number 13, Phantom Ships, Russia's Floating Wooden Buildings. Picture yourself standing on the banks of a massive Russian river in the 19th century. Instead of seeing normal boats, you spot what looks like an entire wooden building floating downstream. That's exactly what this incredible photograph shows, Russia's ingenious timber barges. In 19th century Russia, timber was economic gold, used for everything from building homes to constructing ships. But there was a huge problem. How do you transport enormous amounts of wood from remote forests to the cities where it was needed? Roads were terrible, and regular ships couldn't carry nearly enough. The solution? Build massive disposable ships made entirely out of the very timber being transported. These weren't ordinary vessels, they were floating wooden buildings, often reaching 400 feet long, longer than a football field. What made them truly remarkable was their simplicity. They had no engines or sails, relying entirely on the river current while workers steered using basic rudders. When these floating behemoths finally reached their destination after weeks or even months of travel, something amazing happened. Rather than making the impossible journey back upstream, the entire barge was dismantled. Every single plank and beam was sold as merchandise. Nothing went to waste. These timber barges show Russian ingenuity at its finest, a creative solution that turned a transportation problem into an elegant system. The photograph preserves this forgotten innovation that most people today have never even heard of. Number 12, Luxury Frozen in Time, the RMS Olympic's first-class suites. Step aboard the RMS Olympic in the 1910s and you'd find yourself in a floating palace of luxury. This remarkable photograph gives us a window into the opulent world that wealthy passengers experienced on this famous ocean liner. And as the sister ship to the ill-fated Titanic, it shows us exactly what was lost beneath the waves. This isn't just a cabin, it's a showcase of Edwardian excess. Look at the intricate wood paneling covering the walls, the plush armchairs inviting relaxation, and the writing desk where passengers could pen letters about their grand adventure across the Atlantic. The stateroom features stained glass windows that bathe the space in colored light. Electric lamps, still a novelty for many at that time, provided modern illumination. Most impressive for the era was the private bathroom, a luxury that even many wealthy homes didn't yet have. Imagine soaking in a porcelain tub as the massive ship cut through ocean waves. What makes this photograph particularly valuable is that the Olympic was nearly identical to the Titanic in design and decor. These images show us exactly what life was like for the Titanic's wealthy passengers, people like John Jacob Astor IV and Benjamin Guggenheim, before disaster struck. The Olympic earned the nickname, Old Reliable, for its successful career spanning decades, while its sister ship became history's most famous maritime disaster. Looking at these luxurious accommodations, you can't help but wonder, did this level of comfort give passengers a false sense of security as they sailed the dangerous North Atlantic? Number 11, the truth behind the giant croc. You've probably seen it online, that shocking photo of an enormous crocodile that looks big enough to swallow a car, with two men standing nearby for scale. The caption usually claims it's a 28-foot monster killed in Australia in 1957. Pretty terrifying, right? Well, the truth is way less scary, but far more interesting. This classic example of photographic trickery has fooled people for generations. The photo is genuine, but the story it tells isn't quite accurate. First off, the photo wasn't even taken in 1957, it dates back to around 1914, along the Roper River in Australia's Northern Territory. The crocodile in the image is certainly large, but nowhere near the claimed 28 feet. So how did it end up looking so enormous? The answer is a simple camera trick called forced perspective. You know how tourists take photos where it looks like they're holding up the Leaning Tower of Pisa? Same idea. In this photo, the crocodile is positioned much closer to the camera than the two men, who are standing several feet behind it. This clever positioning makes the crocodile appear massively larger than it actually is. Could crocodiles ever reach 28 feet? Wildlife experts say absolutely not. The largest verified saltwater crocodile was Lolong, measuring just over 20 feet before his death in 2013. This photo reminds us to look critically at images, especially in our age of digital manipulation. Sometimes the most interesting story isn't the monster itself, but how easily we can be tricked into seeing one. Number 10,